Scripting is a powerful way to design the life that you want and to impress it on your subconscious mind. In this video, I'm going to give you a very simple way for you to shift your identity, for you to reinvent yourself, to create the person you need to be in order to have the life that you want. In this channel, we talk a lot about it's not enough to know what you want. The biggest question you need to know is like, who do I need to become? Who do I need to be to create that life, to generate that life, to attract those things into my reality, for it to become normal? Who do I need to be? Because life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you are. And so we talk a lot about that inner growth that needs to happen for you to align with that vision, for you to align with the goals, the desire, the reality that you want. And so sometimes it can be a bit confusing from being like, how do I go from where I am to where I want to be, right? How do I bridge that gap, so to speak? And this is where scripting, for many people, can be a very powerful way to get a clear idea, to get that clear mental picture of the person I need to be, and to be able to not only have the clarity, but to impress it in my subconscious mind over and over and over and over again, right? So I want to keep this very short and very simple, because the worst thing you can do is overcomplicate this. There is no one simple way to do it, and it's the only way to do it. You gotta just simply let that free flow. Here's what I believe. If you can connect to the state of like, okay, how would it feel if I already have the life that I want? If I'm living that reality, let's say like you have like a 1-year vision or a 5-year vision or whatever, right? Your dream life, dream situation that you want to create. If I already had that, how would I feel right now? If you can connect to that state, you can connect to the blueprint, the person you need to be, and then all you need to do is channel that on the paper. And that's why I call it free flowing, right? So the first thing you want to know is exactly what you want. Like if you're confused about your desire and you don't have a vision for the future, well, you gotta start there. Because if you're not defined by a greater vision of your future, you will be defined by your past programs and memories. So if you don't have no idea about what you want, and you only know what you don't want anymore, pause and get some clarity. Otherwise, this won't work, right? So the next thing, if you know what you want, you know your goals, you know what you want to bring, right? Take a piece of paper, set 15 to 20 minutes, 30 minutes if you have a lot of time, put a bit of music, put your phone away, undisturbed you time. And the way I do it is simple. Just like I told you, I get into the state. I close my eyes and I just create a mental picture of like, okay, I'm there. I'm seeing myself in this situation or in this life, or successful or whatever the context may be, and I get into the feeling. Then I take my paper and I write in present tense, meaning I am, I have, I feel, I do, kind of thing, in present tense. And to prompt you a little bit, here's a few questions that maybe can help you, get that pen moving, so to speak. It's like, how do I feel about myself now? Is one of the first questions, one of the most powerful questions. How do I feel about myself now? How do I think about myself now? Who am I differently now than 1 year ago? What has changed in my life? How am I showing up in my life differently now? And with that, just start writing and start writing and start writing, and then start describing your life from the point of view of I am, from a point of view of how I relate to the people around me, how I relate to myself, how I relate to money, how I relate to the world, how I react now versus how I used to do. Simply just let that state, let that blueprint go on paper. Write down at least 1 to 2 full in-depth pages. And then when you're done, reread it. Reread it. Take your time to reread it, and to get a feeling of how does that feel, to get a feeling of like, like that person, and reflect like, how is that person on paper here different than how I live my day-to-day life? That's the big question. Because if you did that free flow correctly and it just came through kind of thing, right, you'll get a big difference, or some form of difference between here, what I want, the life I want to create, and where I am here on my day-to-day life. And that's the bridge. So then what do you do with that paper? Like it's not just enough to do it once. So I invite you to either take some time, either daily if you have the time, or at least once a week to rewrite it. But ideally you want to have that paper And when it feels right, if you write it a couple of times, maybe you find a version that feels like, yeah, that's it, kind of thing, right? Reread it daily, especially in the morning. What you could also do, if you're more of a visual type, is to sit down, with that paper, you reread it, and then you just visualize that for a few minutes. You just let your mind live that reality. Yeah. So you really get to impress that on your subconscious mind. You really get to live in the feeling, so that your mind starts to get conditioned, right? You start to impress who you are and how you think and how you relate to this and that person and money and the environment, right? You feed yourself with new information. You live in that state. And then the biggest question is, what can I do today to show up there? And that can be thinking differently, putting on a different attitude, dressing differently, taking some action, things you've been procrastinating on and now you just go for it, kind of thing. So how can you walk the talk? And I know a lot of people in spiritual community will tell you, just manifest, blah, blah, blah. But in my model of the world, in my experiences, there is things that needs to be done that only you can do. And so if you've been afraid, playing small, or if you've been, on the play safe things, maybe it's time to freaking go green light, give you like the opportunity to, what, I was afraid to, join that party, I was afraid to go to the gym, I was afraid to, apply for a job, I was afraid to whatever. Maybe it's time to go and freaking do it. Maybe I'm afraid to start my own YouTube channel or to put myself out there. Maybe it's freaking time to show up with new thought and a new attitude and to do that. So scripting is a big, big part to help you not only get the clarity, that mental image of like who I need to be at that level. Like I know that at that level, that version of myself is showing up differently, thinking differently, has a different attitude, is relating to the world, to myself, to others differently. And how am I here? And as long as there's a big gap here, you're gonna have a conflict, because no matter what you want, life will give you what you are and where you spend most of your time. So you cannot serve two masters at the same time. So you're gonna need to make a choice. So every day, if you can, climb the ladder and as much as you can, get on that energy, get on that thing, you will start to become in resonance with that life. I hope this makes sense. Keep it simple, because complexity is the enemy of execution, and this is something you just need to do. So I hope this makes sense. Let me know what you think down in a comment. As always, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you next time. Be well.